Right, so I have covered the inside. I finished the job I was doing. I've covered the inside of it with yellow paper and then given the whole thing and then done the nice folding it around the edges, as you can see. And then I've given the entire thing a good once over with some glue, which is going to make him waterproof-ish, mostly. Right, so while he's sitting there, getting it together and drying a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to prepare for the stripes, the Buzzy Bee stripes. So we've got our black paper, right, and what we're going to do is we're going to keep it folded over the way it is. So this one's a bit rugged, but don't worry about it. So what we're going to do is, with our scissors, we're not going to bother draw this one, we're just going to go, with our scissors, we're going to make a little sort of rainbow shape. So it's not quite a semicircle, it's just a bit of a curve. And we're going to cut that out and put it to one side. I know you don't have to do this, you can just do stripes straight across, but I'm a bit extra, so I like to do the curve because it gives the bee a nice fat round belly, and I like that. So we're going to cut in the same curve. Don't worry if it's not. Ooh. And then put them all to the side. Don't worry if you don't maintain the same curve, it doesn't matter. I'm actually going to flatten it out slightly as I go. So this is one way of doing it. Now I'm going to make that curve a bit more gentle by cutting that bit off. And the same on the other side. I'm just going to... At this point with the black, don't throw anything away. Any bits you cut off, just put them to one side and keep them for later, because you never know. You might need to do some patching. Right. So, carrying on, whoops, with what we were doing, cutting both sides at the same time, just making that curve. Then, and one more I think ought to do it. This one I'm going to make him quite a lot straighter than the others. And it'll make sense why I'm doing that in a minute. Right. But really, okay, that's a bit extra if you do the curves. If you don't want to do that, if you just want to do straight lines, that's absolutely fine. It will not look, in any way rubbish. It will look fantastic. Yeah, so it's up to you. Right, so now, we're going to lay them out. So lay them out in front of you, so that you can see how curved they are and how big they are, etc. Right. Now, with the bit here, I'm going to cut one completely straight line. Again, it doesn't matter how fat they are, how thin they are. It doesn't really matter at all. So I've cut one that's pretty much straight, like that. Now, because you did it doubled up, you've got two of each. So as you do one, so I'm working on the outside. So I take this one to use, and I put that one over there because I'm going to use that in the exact same spot, but on the other side. Right, so first things first, let's give him a band around his belly. Very gently gluing it down as I go along. The key word there being gently. All right, there we go. So now he's got his belt. So I'm going to take one that isn't super bent, curvy, whatever, you know what I mean. Do the same thing. Keep one for now. Hold the other one back for the other side. Right. Can you see how I'm so I'm holding that in the curve of a smile a little bit. And I'm doing this. Smush him down so that he's connecting and gluing on properly. Alright, now see here there's a wobbly bit. You don't have to care about that. But if you do care about that, you can just push him very gently with your fingernail. Right. And again, glue him into place. So it's coming together, isn't it? Now, I'm going to take a much more curvy one. We'll probably have more than we need here. And do the exact same thing. Keep half of it for the other side.
Okay. And then, oopsie. Oh dear, I appear to have cut him in half. Oh well, I don't think it matters much.
Oh, behave. Right, now that went a bit wrong, as you can see, because this bit came off, but that's okay. I'm going to glue that bit down into place, and with my fingernail make him look a bit tidier. There we are. And now I'm just going to, I ask you. So I made my paper a bit too curvy for my own good. And now the last, this bit here, don't know if you remember, we cut this off right at the beginning when we made our first curve. So we're going to cut him in half. And I'm going to curve him a little bit more. Again, it's completely unnecessary. This is just because I think it shows up the shape of the bee's body and makes him look a bit friendlier. Not that bees aren't friendly, but there we are. Right, so now we need to do the other side. So now we use same technique, keep one for later on, keep one for the back, but this time the curve needs to go the other way round. So can you see how that gives him a big round tummy? And who doesn't like a bee with a round tummy?
I'm going to make sure that he's on there.
Now it's up to you. If you want a very yellow bee, make these skinny and the gaps big. If you want a very black bee, make the black bits big and the gaps skinny.
Yeah.
Alright, we've got one more at the top there to do. It's a good idea every now and again to give your scissors a wipe down and get in your way when you're trying to do things. Right, so I'm going to put him quite high up. There we are. There we are. I'm quite pleased with that. Make sure he's all glued down. I'm going to put a little extra bit, oops, just to cover. I don't know if you remember, but I had a little white gap there. So let's just cover that gap. There we are. So Beezy is starting to look a bit Beezy. Now, on yours, you'll have a tail here, a stinger, rather. We don't have one. But just cover him in black. Or whatever you want to do. But I would cover him in black. Right, so now, before we proceed, we're going to cut the edges off, and we're going to cut them short. This time we only want about less than 1 centimetre, because they're on a curve, they won't curve round into the right place. Right, so we're going to cut. I'm going to show you. I'm just cutting that much. Do you see? So when it goes around onto the other side, it won't really, because if you can see what the other paper is doing, if I didn't cut it off, it would do that, and I don't want it to. There we are. I think that's all of them. Yep. And then turning the whole thing around, you're just going to glue them all into place on the edge. Don't worry if he doesn't go all the way around, because you are going to cover him on this side too. You might want to do it with your fingers just to make it a bit more, or just a bit less liable to tear. Right, there we are. So I'm going to leave you and do the other side, right? And I'm just going to do that by literally copying and covering the exact same places, and you can see what you're doing. It's quite easy. So I'll see you on the other side of that.